Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot. Oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girls. I'm your host, Patricia Baker. I am here with PK, and she's our guest tonight. So this is going to be exciting because it's our numbers, our destiny. It's all about learning about these things so that we can get help along the way, and we all need it. So Patricia Kirkman has been a numerologist for many, many years. She is world renowned. And you know what? She'll tell you the truth, even if you don't want to hear it. She's going to tell you the truth. That's what you need to hear. So you need to know. So we're going to be talking about all things numbers tonight. If you have a question, then you can feel free to call in and ask whatever you'd like to ask about your own path. So, Miss PK, welcome.
Thank you, darling. It's very interesting because this is a 1 month, new beginnings, fresh starts, laying everything out in front of us. But it happens to be that we're also in the month of Scorpio. So it's a time to put things to rest that no longer serve us. It's a time, it's really a transformation is taking place. So you're going to find out that Scorpio, which is our astrological month, teaches us about birth, death, rebirth, and that's through transitions, making these transformations and changes. So that's what we've got going for us for the month. But each one of us have something different along with this. We'll call this our umbrella, our personal month and our universal month. All this will have an effect on every one of us, depending on what letter of your name you happen to be working under. So if you're unsure about something, let me take a look at your first name. All you need is your month and day of birth, and I can give you some information to start working on. But I think that we'll take a look at that the last 2 months of the year, we're going to find out, are very pivotal because it deals with our future successes also. So Scorpio, the side of death and rebirth, that becomes before Sagittarius, which is the side of the visionary. So in this last phase of the year, it's important to release the old, make way for the new, and make room for some amazing opportunities that can be coming your way. Take time to look at things. Don't walk around with the, oh, woe is me attitude, because at the end of the year, we're worn out, tired out. And then all of a sudden, we've got all the holidays in front of us. Thanksgiving coming, Christmas coming. Need to shop, need to stretch the budget. And God knows that's what we've all been doing the last couple of years.
For sure.
So we are going to make a difference because things are going to get a lot better.
Yay!
Pay attention to things.
Good.
Yeah. So I hate to say this, but Mercury goes retrograde the 25th of November.
Oh, no. Okay.
Well, I'm sorry, but when it goes retrograde, it's a good reminder for us to slow down, check on where we are, what we're doing mentally, socially, spiritually, because the retrograde periods can create issues that create misunderstandings, tech mistakes. I just had my computer reworked again. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that it lasts throughout this retrograde period of time. So anything to do with communications of any form, written, verbal, etc. Pay attention because it's going to make a difference. People don't always understand what we're saying. So you're going to find out that there may be some issues creating misunderstandings with not only our technology, but travel, anything to do with meetings and appointments. We're going to get ourselves a little bit screwed up if we don't pay a close attention. Unfortunately, we all have to do everything in a hurry because we know we've got all this stuff to do. Instead, we have to slow it down just a little bit. So if anybody is curious about their numbers, they could give us a call today. I'd be happy to take a look at your first name or your birthday. And we don't give your information out by your full name. I would look at it here and then we'd chat about it for a bit. But the most important thing is if we take our month and day of birth and add those together, reduce it to a single digit, just like we're back in first and second grade, everything down and right across, that will tell us what your number is there. And we're going into a 9 universal year. So that would tell you that whatever that number totals, that's the personal year you're going into in 2025. It gives you a chance to take a look at something different. So how does that make you feel, Patricia, being able to take a look at that?
I like that. It feels empowering. And I do have a question about Mercury retrograde.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a good time to pull out old unfinished projects
No,
and take a look at them?
I don't think so. Personally, I wouldn't. What we're doing is we're trying to make way for what's coming up.
Mhm.
During a retrograde, it's to eliminate the old issues and bringing back into something new. I find that to me, it's more important to take a look at what's happening right now.
Okay.
People, places, and things will revisit the life sometimes for that quick review, but it's not to keep it there forever.
Okay.
And
I
with the
understand.
retrograde, we're going to be tending to do things in a hurry. Unfortunately, when we do that too quickly, we end up making mistakes. So
Right.
anything to do with communication, travel, pay attention to your bank accounts and things like that, because this is when you realize, oh, I added this wrong, or I thought I had this, and oh my gosh, where did that go to? But sometimes it's a plus side. But most generally, we end up getting a little nudge in the backside to pay more attention to what's taking place.
Absolutely. I wanted to mention before we get any further on this, that people can find you in a couple places. One is on our website, supernaturalgirls.com. Your email is there, so people can email you directly. And they can also go right to your own website, which is patriciakirkman.com. Either way, to reach you, set up an appointment, and take a look at what's coming for the next year. So however you're finishing up this year and starting next year, it's always a good thing to take a look at those numbers so that you're armed with great information.
Well,
And I also wanted to share something about one of our guests that was on here recently, James Gilliland, which I think you were not here for that one. But James is the owner of ECETI Ranch. We had him on a long time ago, and we had him on just recently. And I saw that he was doing sessions with people, which I thought was interesting because James's focus is the ranch, which is everything UFO, Bigfoot, all the paranormal stuff that happens on his ranch. But he also does these clearings for people. So I asked if he could do one for me, and he did. And so apparently he works with Kathy, someone on his team, and Myra. And I have to tell you, it was a very powerful physical sensation when they started to do this work on me. We set an appointment, and it was amazing in terms of what I physically felt. They're in Hawaii right now, poor things. And
so is my granddaughter and her husband.
yeah, really, I'm sitting here freezing in the Berkshires, but it was amazing that I could feel what the energy was doing. It was a very powerful experience. Then afterwards, Myra gave me a call. We went over everything that happened in the session. So if anybody's interested in that, you can find that at ecetiranch.org or eceti.org, one of those. You'll find his information there, and you can set that up if you'd like. As we're coming to the end of the year, we try to bring everybody the best tools.
Oh gosh, yes.
And certainly you have one of the absolute best with the numbers, and James has one with the energy, which we'll be talking more about what James has to offer the next time he comes on. And it's next week we're going to have Dawn on for astrology.
That's right.
Astrologer Dawn is coming on.
Yeah.
So pass the word, everybody. And also make sure you give us a like and a follow on our YouTube channel and our website and Facebook and everywhere else, so you can keep track of some of the things we're going to be doing. And we're going to be doing some different things in the coming year, which I think you'll be very happy with. So anyways, go ahead. Now, what else do we need to know? What's coming up for us?
Well, I think one of the most important things is with the Mercury retrograde, it's very important that you pay attention, because misunderstandings can take place. You're going to say, I think this is black. They're going to say, what do you mean it's white? Because of the total misunderstanding, mishearing. But with the retrograde period, mentally and socially, we kind of get ourselves stuck in different places. Travel, like I said, or inconvenience of any type. When we put our information out to somebody, we may say something, they're going to assume something else. The misunderstandings or misquotes, or misunderstanding a number and looking at something, and all of a sudden we've got all this chaotic issue going on. We did it right, we just interpreted wrong. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That way. So it's really important that you pay attention to things like that, because everything sets in motion at this point in time. We're eliminating things that don't fit anymore. People, places, and things that no longer work on our life in a retrograde, kind of push it to the curb and let it go. It makes it a lot easier for everybody down the road. But we're going into a 9-year in 2025. Endings, wrapping up of the old and making way for the new. So every month of the coming year is going to have a very strong impact on us. And if we take a look at our own personal information, every letter of our name revolves around a number. And if we can take a look at where we are at a given point in time, it'll give us our direct route to make things happen in a pleasant way, as opposed to ending up going, I've made a U-turn and I'm going backwards instead of forwards. Because we need to really pay attention. Our first letter, first vowel, first consonant of our name says a lot about who we are. And I'll just say Patricia, the P-A, the P is a 7, the A is a 1. So she's an 8 personality. So if we take a look at everyone's first vowel, first consonant, that tells us a lot about who the person is before we even get started taking a look at anything else. When we add our month, day, and year together, add it across, total it to a single number, you'll find out what your destiny number is. That's our purpose for being.
What is that? What is the destiny number? I find that one very, very interesting.
Well, that's our purpose for being here. We're here to learn, to teach. None of us, shall we say, we can't take shortcuts in certain ways, but not when it comes to the bottom line. But our month, day, and year birth tells us what our destiny number is, what we're here to achieve, and how we're here to work through it and take care of the things that are important for us. So if we just add our month and day of birth together, reduce it to a single number, add that to what the universe is going through, that tells us what our personal year is.
So mine would be what? 3 plus 9. Is that what that?
That's a 3. Okay.
So comes out to 3.
And yet we're going into a 9 universal year. So you're going to be going into a 3-year. It's going to be all about communications, creativity, putting things out there. And look what you've been putting together already. And the new year hasn't gotten yet. Every October is a preview of the coming year. We always get a chance to get that sneak peek. But if we add our month, day, and year together, add it down, reduce that number to a single digit, that tells us what our destiny number is. We all have our destiny number to work with, what numbers that we have by the letters in our name. And we don't always have every letter that's in the alphabet, obviously, but each letter revolves around a certain number. We take a look and see what numbers do we have that are missing, because those are where our challenges are. That's where we have to work to make things, shall we say, happen, to make us happy.
Now, do you call those karmic numbers, the ones where they're missing?
Yes.
Any energy.
Yes.
So does that mean that something happened in past lives and it kind of made us
It
start over again?
it could mean that, or it also could mean that we are here to learn certain lessons this time around.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's face it, when we take a look at things, we've all can't believe that we're only one time around the clock.
Right.
We have more often taking a look at some of the things that are taking place, and we go, oh, wait a minute, this really looks good. But if you take a look at the numbers of the letters in your name, first vowel, first consonant, each that added together tells us a lot about who we are. So I'm
Right.
going to use Patricia as because she happens to be here. Unfortunately, my
We
name's
both have the same name, so
my
yeah.
name's the same. So, but the P represents the number 7, and the
Mm.
A represents the number 1. So that makes you an 8 personality. You like taking control of things, putting things in order. But the 7 tells me you're a teacher. You always have been a teacher. You'll always be a teacher. But you like to be able to put it together your way.
That's for sure.
So when we take a look at things like that, it gives us a different look at things. So
Mhm.
if you take a look at the vowels in our name, they each have an impact on us. So if they look at my webpage and sign up for our what I put out every month, it will give you ideas of what the month is about, what the numbers are about, and what letters revolve around what numbers. So your vowels A, E, I, O, and U, the one is the A. The E represents 5. The O represents 6. The U represents 3. So when we take a look and a Y represents the number 7. So each one of these things have an impact because those letters last for that many years.
Now, let me ask you a question about names because I get this question a lot and I always turn to you to get an answer on it. What happens, say, when we get married and if we take the husband's name, drop our birth name? Does that matter? Does that
When,
change anything?
yeah, well, it does and it doesn't. Let's put it this way. Our name at birth is our key. That gives us everything that we have. When we get married, that name goes along with us, but unless we physically change our name, and we're really not doing that, we don't legally change our name. So our birth name is what we use.
Right. But then
Just go ahead.
let's say somebody decides they don't like their name anymore. Like I know that's very big in the pagan community.
They
A
could
lot of
change it,
they just change their names. You know, we've
but
had a lot of people on.
legally. That legal date becomes their new birthday.
Ah, okay.
So that's where the difference is. Every letter of our name lasts for so many years.
Mhm.
And when we're taking a look at a chart, the first line would be our physical self, which is our
Mhm.
first name. Our emotional self is our middle name that would go under it. And underneath that would go our spiritual name. So when we read a chart, we're looking at the letters across one way, and then we read them down, which
Mm.
also gives us additional information. So when we're looking at things like that, well, I'll use mine for instance, P, A, and K, which is my first, middle, and last name. So I would have to look at those numbers. And so the P is a 7, the A is a 1, and the K is a 2. So there right off the bat, that tells me what I'm going through that first year of my life.
Right. Right. Now, there are people with very short names,
Mm-hmm.
which means they have a lot less numbers in their name. And I know you and I were talking about someone who's from Taiwan who has a very short name. I think there's what, 6 letters in the whole name, if that. And I wanted to ask you that creates a whole different issue. It's like with a short name, very few numbers, it would look like there's a lot of karmic issues there. Is that what happens?
Not necessarily. The numbers may not be karmic for them. The numbers may be good for them.
Okay, so when they're missing numbers because their
It's
name is so short.
missing numbers in the given name at birth. Now, I know that some people utilize the alphabet for different countries, etc. I
Mhm.
don't. I use ours. And when I was in Greece, that confused me a lot because their letters are different than ours in some
Mhm.
respects.
Right.
So I'm going to stay strictly an American girl.
Yeah, really. But then you look at names like, William, the king, the soon to be king of
Mhm.
England. I mean, they have these names that just go on forever. It's like,
Because those are his birth name, we would look at every one of the names
wow.
and
So
look
there's a
at,
lot more energy, right? When you
oh
have
yeah.
that much in your name, when it just goes on and on like that. I mean, they have like a trail of 7 or 8 names.
But sometimes we take a look at the names they use. You know, they may be given that on their birth certificate, but they may also only use certain names.
Mhm.
Take a look at it in that direction. But it all depends on what we're looking for, what we're trying to find out. Uh, the most important thing is I find the first letter of our name and first vowel, first consonant, because
Mm.
that gives us a good handle of who we are. And when we take a look at some of the letters that are missing, that gives us what we're here to work on and what we're here to do better.
Mhm. Right.
Not that we don't have every letter of the alphabet in our name. So when we're missing certain letters, uh, uh, when we take a look at how they relate to one another, that makes a big difference of when we're looking at things. I was looking at something here. The one number means that the person is independent and very strong. So when we add all the numbers of a name, say it ends up being a 10, we would reduce that to a 1. So a 1 personality would be a number there where the person's very independent, very strong-willed, and they can be either very sensitive or very generous, very domineering or very jealous. So it depends on how we look at the rest of the numbers that go with the name. If it reduces to a 2, they can be very gentle and sympathetic. So we take a look at the names, the numbers in the name that will tell us what the personality is, what the different personalities are involved. You'll find that people that deal with the number 7, you'll find them very intelligent, very quiet at times. 8, that deals with money. So that makes them very successful, many times very charming. So I'm just going to scoot back to the number 1. They're an independent soul. They like to do things their own way. They don't like anybody telling them what to do. If we're a 2 personality, we end up being very gentle and sympathetic to what goes on around us. 3, it makes us very happy and charming and very outgoing. A 4, they can be very straightforward and very practical about how they want things to be. If a person is a 5 personality, they're very temperamental, but also very lively because they like changes. 6 personality, reliable, artistic, very caring, more of the family type. A 7 personality, very intelligent, more quiet, more reserved. And 8, very successful and charming. They work very hard at success. The 9 can be very tolerant and very down to earth. They're more spiritual. They seem to be part of the world at large. They're caring what other people feel and think. So
Mhm.
there's a lot going on that way. So what
Right.
we talked about as the possibility of these numbers, if a person's missing these same numbers, that makes it difficult for them to be able to do these things.
Right.
So
Yes.
in fact, somebody told me a long time when I first started with numerology, someone said, well, if you look at a person that house numbers, they have an effect on all of us as well. I live in a 9 house. This is what I do. I work with other people all the time. A 7 house, I'll find out they're very spiritual, usually involved with political or policies or police, and or they could be the opposite side of the spectrum and be the thief.
Hmm.
You just don't know. So the yin and yang,
Yeah.
positive and negative of every number.
Yep. Yeah, and then the personal choice that people make also. Yeah, I
Oh
mean, numerology, it just affects everything. It has to do with your business name too. That makes a difference
yeah,
with
definitely.
the name you give your
Help people
business. And I
coming
know
up.
a lot of people have come to you to say, "Is this the right business name for
Mhm,
me to use?" So that they're free of blocks and they can be prosperous in what they're
definitely.
doing. So it's always good to check that, always good to check your house number. And as you mentioned in another show, you can actually change the energy of your house number if you need to
Right.
without having to actually go and do a legal thing. So that's very interesting how some people called up on the show and they gave you their number and you helped them change it without actually having to go down to, you know, motor vehicle or
Well, because
registering
firstly,
deeds or whatever.
you live at a certain block, there's no way you're going to get your house number changed.
Right, right.
Setup. But the thing that's important is you're living in that house absorbs your energy. So we can make the house feel comfortable toward and for your energy by changing the number in a way that makes it beneficial to you.
Right.
So the little trick you can take by adding something to your address doesn't have to be publicly on the street. It doesn't have to be on the house, but you can put it in your door frame, the additional number that will give the house number a different effect. But you don't want to give it a number that's a problem for you, because I have a client that said, but I want to make a lot of money, so I want everything to be an 8. Well, that's great, except she didn't have 8s in her chart. She didn't have 8s in her world. So what she did was she set herself up for constant failure because there was no way she was going to come out of that. But by changing it where she could learn and or be taught things that were different or enhance other aspects, a one person or a one number means very independent and able to take care of and do things for themselves. A 2 number likes a partner or a partnership. They do better working with other people. A 3 number makes a person very creative, very outgoing, very social. They're kind of everything fun, more uplifting, more colorful. The 4 number deals with the details of things, making things more positive, everything more black and white, because you build a stronger foundation with the 4. With the 5, there's a lot of changes that go on, and 5 also has a luck factor. 3s and 5s always have a luck factor to them. So there's opportunity for changes and good things to take place with that. A 6 deals with family type responsibilities, and they like things to be, apple pie, that kind of thing, that home, everything
More
around.
nurturing.
Yeah. And the 7, they're more spiritual, or the teachers or the students, and always working on advancing something or making something different. The 8, that's basic bottom line is show me the money. I want to make money. I want to do it. I want to be in charge. I want to be in control. And the 9 person, they're the teacher, but the very strong spiritual aspect of things. They want to make the world a better place to be in. So we have been getting ready because we're going into a 9 universal year in 2025. That's going to make a big difference for everyone, because we're going to be looking at how to make life better, not just for ourselves, but our neighbors, the people that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. We want to build things that are going to go forward and enhance the world instead of trying to strip it down.
Well, that sounds great. I mean, that's what we need, and it makes sense. I've heard from some of our astrologer friends. Oh, and by the way, everybody, William Stick-Evers, who's been on the show a bunch of times, who we absolutely love and trust, he was one of the very few astrologers who predicted the outcome of the election properly. So he got it right. And I saw a long list that was posted of all the astrologers who didn't get it right, but William got it right. And I've heard from him and other people have taken a look at our future. And they said that our whole existence is going to change so rapidly, we won't even recognize it, which it sounds very exciting. I mean, it was all said in a positive light. That we wouldn't recognize it. I think with the new technology they're going to be introducing and other things, like, as you bring up quite often, things are going to come to light. They're going to be actually declassifying a lot of things that we've wondered about.
Definitely.
So that will also change our consciousness. And all the people who continue to think that mainstream media is telling the truth will be surprised to find out they're not. So we'll have more coming to light.
Well, in the 9 year, it gives us opportunity to cleanse, clear, get rid of, make way for the new. And that's really what the 9 is all about. And we're getting a push right into it right off the bat with the retrograde, because anything that we say or do communication wise is subject to falling apart, getting rearranged or redone or done over. And so we're going to get a chance to eliminate people, places, and things from our world that really don't fit anymore. And that's what the 9 years all about. We can make way for new things to take place and embrace what's new and different instead of being against everything that we think might be against us. We have to remember that we're all here to work together in one form or another.
Yes. I mean, there was a lot said about what was being forced on us over the last 4 years, that there's a lot of questions. Would we find our way out of it? And clearly we did, with quite a lot of support and force in a good way, again. But I'm very interested to see, with this 9-year coming into being, cleaning out the old, what is going to be in front of us. It sounds very, very good. So I'm happy.
It's going to have some shake, rattles, and rolls that go with it, because each one of us are going to be in a different personal year, anyone from 1 through 9. And the destiny number that we'll be working with is going to have a big effect on all of us. A person that's in a one, going into a 1 year, is going to all of a sudden decide they've got all these great ideas. They want to try something different, and they're going to be more inclined to do that. Where before it's, oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. Well, this is later for them. This is their new beginning.
Right.
People that are in a 2-year, you're going to find many of them all of a sudden have a great idea that want to go into a partnership, whether it's marital, relationship, or business, all of that type of thing. Anything doing with the joining of two you'll find will be very good with them in this coming year. 3 personalities, they're the creators. They're very artistic. They've got great ideas. Maybe in the past they've been gray, black, etc., and all of a sudden they're going to be coming by with the flamboyant pinks and reds and whatever. And you go, wow, what happened? Because that uplifting period of doing things. Those that are in a 4-year, all of a sudden they're going to get a good idea. Maybe I should get involved with land and property. Maybe I should start investing in something like that. Excellent time when you're in a 4-year, because it deals with the details of things. And it's a good time to make money because you're going to be practical, very, very practical about it. And those that are in a 5-year, well, they're going to be the little speed demons. They're going to do everything in a hurry. They're the ones that are going to be sitting alongside of the road with the cop writing the ticket out, because everything's going to be for the quick fix. But it does have a luck factor. 3s and 5s always have a luck factor to them.
Okay.
So going into a 6-year, they are going to be so involved with their family, putting things together family-wise, things they can do with the home, or spending time where they can just really enjoy. All of a sudden, somebody that didn't care to cook so much in the past, all of a sudden, now they want to be Julia Childs. All these things fit. And those that are dealing with the 7 will find that they want to be the teacher, they're the student, but their spirituality jumps way up there when the 7's around. We have an opportunity to not only to learn, but also to teach in a way that gives us strong feelings of positivity. And that's a real good feeling.
It is.
And those that going into their 8-year, that's their money-making time. That's the time when they're going to start investing, looking at things that are going to be different, how to make it different. And they'll start looking at the checkbook, and the ka-ching is going to be the big deal for them, and being in control. And those will be the ones that'll teach others how to do it better, make more. And then the 9, they're all of a sudden, it's about humanity at large. What can I do for somebody else? They're the ones that are going to be helping somebody across the street, or helping somebody with getting that sandwich that they need desperately, or something, because people are going to start paying attention to helping other people more. That's what this coming year is going to be all about.
Oh, good.
We're going to start really feeling empathy, as well as being in control of how they think they should be done.
Well, let me ask you a question. So if somebody is a 9, if that's their number, and they're going into a 9 year, are they tending to be more comfortable in that year because it matches their energy?
That would be the case, as well as the fact that they're going to be more capable of doing more. When our numbers match up, it's like getting a shot of adrenaline. Things get
Okay.
they excel, which is the best that we could possibly do, which is always nice to have happen.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Well, this is going to be a very interesting time. This whole experience, and I've talked to a lot of people. I know you have too, who feel really good that after the election, it has shifted, and people are some people, not all people, but
Well,
a lot of people are feeling really good.
people are scared. They're worried because of what we've been going through these
Mhm.
last years. And nothing's perfect. And it doesn't matter who you like or didn't like. Each one had something about them that drew you to them. Take a look at what it is that made you feel more comfortable. What is it that we have to learn to do different in our world to make it better for the whole world?
Mhm. Yeah, well, I think the voices were heard loud and clear, which is good. I mean, what's so interesting to me is I live in Massachusetts, a blue state, and yet, there were a lot of people who voted red. And it was when I looked at the breakdown, it was really pretty shocking how many people voted all red. And it was really great to see that there was enough room for people to change their mind from being somebody in the blue wave to somebody in the red wave. So there was a lot that people gave thought to make that big of a change. So I think people came out of these 4 years really thinking about what was going on and making different choices. So
Well,
that's
I
pretty inspiring.
I think that had a lot to do with it. I think also one of the things is that we have all been looking at our day-to-day life, our bank account or lack of groceries, the way everything changed so drastically these last few years. That was the driving force that made people make changes this year.
Mhm.
And no one feels really totally comfortable with how things have changed because of the bigotry that we're seeing right now with different nations, different situations. If we could all just learn to get along without the negative spin on everything. It's like watching one show and they're anti everything that you think is right. Then you go to another one that's anti everything that you just left. And if we all put something into this to make it better, how much happier we could all be. We have so many people on the streets right now. It's god awful. It doesn't matter where you go or where you look. People need help. We can't give them help when we are ourselves are yay far into debts, just trying to get ahead.
Well, it can't be done, at the expense of the American citizen, and I think that was very loud and clear message that was given. You're not gonna do it at our expense anymore. So there's that. I think people found their voice, people spoke up, went to the voting booth and did it. They changed it in a really positive way, which is great, and so you look at that, you look at the internal aspect of that, and then also how our world is going to, I believe, rapidly change as a result of everything around us that has changed. But we're all a part of it, which is great.
Oh,
And yeah, it's easy to say, let's all get along, but you have to look at
no,
why
it's
haven't we?
nothing is perfect. Nothing is
Yeah,
perfect. You
that's
know,
right.
one person, everybody will go through a 1 year somewhere along over a 9 year period. We'll all go through that 1 year. Everyone wants it to be fresh, brand new, fresh starts. Let's do it my way. But somebody else that's now in a 5 year, they want to make changes. They don't want to put up with what you want just for you. So
Yeah.
every one of us have a different personality, and we're going to have to work at making things work together. Because if nothing else, we've seen that if we don't work as a unit, God help us all, because the world is a very fragile place today.
Mm-hmm.
And
It is. It definitely is.
fighting
But
on campuses and such as that, incredible. It shouldn't be. We should be helping one another go further to make life better for everyone, not this, I don't know what you want to call it, but it makes it very, very difficult to explain to youngsters, you shouldn't do this because, when they're watching it happen every day on the news.
well, yeah, and I mean, not only that, but to paraphrase that story about the ants, the red ants and the black ants, they get along just fine until somebody starts shaking the jar. Then they start fighting with each other. So it's like the question is, who's shaking the jar?
Good
But
point. Good
let
point.
me get back to some of your insights, because I've heard you say very specific things about people's first names, like the name Christopher. You said they like to tell half truths. So tell us about that. I'm sure there's other names you can add to that, but
Well,
that was fascinating.
well, they're very sensitive. And so
Mhm.
consequently, many times we try to protect other people. We don't say the whole story. We just say enough to make it feel like it's going to be okay. But if we say too much, maybe we'll make them uncomfortable. And the next thing you know, they're upset because you said the wrong thing. And you're going, but I was just trying to make you feel good. Doesn't always work that way. Um, One personality type people like to be in charge, and they like to put things in order. They like to make a list of what they consider the better way to go.
Mhm.
And when we take a look at a person, well, we'll just use the name Anne, for instance. That
Mhm.
A up front is my way or the highway,
Oh,
but
okay.
it has a double N, which is each one is resolves around the number 5. So when we take a look at it's an 11-2 personality. So they're very sensitive, even though they come across as I'm in charge, I know who I am. They're ultra sensitive. So if you shut them down for what they're trying to say, they take it personally, want to go off and pout. And
Mhm.
it's how we present things. If we take a look at how the different names resolve as far as making life better or worse for all of us, nothing is perfect, but everything has a good and a bad to it.
Yeah. So it's a choice of what
Yeah.
polarity you're gonna be expressing. But I just thought that was fascinating that just from that one name, you were able to determine a very important personality trait that
Well,
these people have with that particular name.
yeah. Well, first vowel, first consonant. And if they go to the website, they'll be able to see what the numbers represent, which each one is. But each one of the vowels, A, E, I, O, and U, you've got a number right there. And to put it with every other number or every other letter, you have
Mhm.
another number that goes. So first vowel, first consonant says so much about a person. If they're a one personality or if they're a two, each one has their own way of presenting things.
But let me ask you about health, because you've been able to also look at people's charts and have a sense of health issues
Fours
that
and sixes.
maybe what coming down, down the road towards
Mhm.
them or at them or whatever. But how do you determine that? What do you look for?
All right, if a person's in a 4-year, we'll say a 4 deals with land property, but it also deals with health and healing. 6 deals with alternative health
Mhm,
issues or dealing with that. A 7 also deals with the teaching and the learning of different aspects of health. So when we break down a person's name, the numbers that are involved, certain years are going to give us certain things that we have to work with or look forward to working on. Anytime I see a person's in a 4-year health wise, I say, take a look at everything. That's a great time to go get a good physical checkup. That's a good time to pay attention to the details of things. All of a sudden, oh, I've got an aching back. I don't know what's going on. Hey, you're in a 4-year, go find out.
mhm,
That's what you do. In a 1-year, you want to be in control and teach, putting things in order. If you're in a 2-year, you want to deal with partnerships, relationships, and you're sensitive to what everybody else needs and you want to make everything nice. In a
mhm,
3-year, we're very creative, very outgoing, very social. We want to show people how to get together, how to make things pretty. That's really, the 4 is about dealing with the details of things, building a strong foundation, really. But that deals with our health and healing as well. The 5 makes us deal with changes, good to bad, bad to good, but constant change. But there's a luck factor going with 5s and 3s. So depending on what year you're in, you can enhance what you're working with and what you're doing. If you're in a 6, that deals with alternative health, alternative healings, dealing with things that are a little different from the conventional norm on going to the doctor. This is when you can take a look at research, going and take a look at things that are different. The 7, the same way. The 7 is the teacher, the student, but they're always looking to make things more important than some of us want to let things slide. But that not only being the teacher and the student, but it's our spiritual side that we take a look at. We don't know. Many times when the 7's around, we keep secrets to things. We pull everything back. We don't want to upset anybody else. So we hold on to things. And then with the 8, I want to be chairman of the board. I want to run it all. And I want to show me where my money is because I want it all. I'm going to take care of this. And now that I've got it all, I can share it and do what I want to do with it, make it better. And then when you start working with the 9 stuff, that's everybody. That's the world at large. That's the fellow on the street corner with his hand out. And that's the fellow in front of the stores ringing the bell, waiting for you to put your hand in.
But let me ask you about, again, missing numbers. So somebody comes in and they're missing like 6, 7, 8. But let's say that they have a lot of 9s. They have a lot of spiritual connection. They truly want to help other people, but they're missing those other numbers that come before it.
Mm-hmm.
That I would imagine that makes it a little harder for them to access than the 9s. There's no circuitry for it.
Well, if 7 is spirituality and the teacher. If we're missing the 7, it makes it awfully hard to be very giving and spiritualistic to help everybody else out if we don't have it within ourselves.
Right.
If we're missing the 8s, you worry about having enough money to feed your own and take care of the needs that you have.
Mhm.
So you're always striving, whatever, plus and minus. The number, look the positive and the negative of every number. And
Right.
Right.
But I was just thinking, it's like there's some people I've looked at their charts, and what I see is they're missing the connection for something that might, in fact, really be helpful to them because they haven't worked on themselves enough, to become aware of these issues. That's what's so important, I think, about having a chart done like this so that you can tell them, this is where you need to put your energy. This is what you need to work on. Then you can access these gifts of the 9 or the 8 or whatever. But until you do that, you're not going to have access. So that's why I think these charts are really an important, more than a clue. It's a map.
Well, it is. And I consider it a roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
Because for the day we're born, we're given, they look at the clock. Okay, this is the time you were born. Oh, this is the date you're born. Oh, this is the address you're going to. This is your social security number. This is all these numbers. Every one of them revolves around who you are and makes you who you are, because then the given name each has their own numbers. So what's missing or added to enhances how we're going to progress in this lifetime or where we're going to stumble and fall.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when we stumble and fall, gets another big boost coming from another direction where we not only learn more, but we're more of a teacher to make everybody else feel better. When I had a client that was not feeling well and they were very concerned, the husband, they didn't have a lot of money. So they were very concerned. The mother was going in the hospital. So the father felt this was going to be the end, the way things were going. So they gathered all the people together, put them up in a hotel in Phoenix, and so that they could be with the mother. And I said, it's not necessary. Everything's going to be fine because it has to take care of itself. Okay. Lo and behold, the father called me 2 weeks later and he said, well, I should have listened. I could have saved myself a lot of money. She's doing just fine.
Yeah.
But the numbers give us our roadmap.
Yeah, it is. And I think in terms of astrology, there's some big differences. But to me, the numerology that you do is much more personal, much you can grasp these concepts. You can walk out of a session and feel like you now know exactly what you need to do. If you want to get to all of your gifts and deal with the things that have been in your way. So yeah, I think it's really, really important to follow that, find your destiny number, know what you're here to do. Makes it so much easier rather than guessing and
Well,
trying to make pieces to the puzzle fit that don't fit.
well, I think to me, the most important part is find out what's missing, because that's where you have to do the work. If you're
Yeah,
missing a specific number, work on that one.
yeah,
That's a better way to go.
yeah, exactly. No, I think that's really, really important. And we unfortunately we're gonna have to wrap up in just a couple minutes. But I hope everybody will go visit your website, which is patriciakirkman.com, see if they can set up an appointment to get their own personal chart done, to carry them into our new year with all of this wisdom and all of these very good choices that they will get to know and make in the coming months. So again, patriciakirkman.com. And we have your very good friend coming in next week, so we should tell
Yes,
everybody about that. We have Dawn the astrologer who's coming in.
right.
She is going to do free readings for people.
Yes,
So, if you would like to join us for that show, make sure that you make a note. It'll be next week at the same time, 6 to 7 Eastern. That is, let's see, what are we on? 4 to 5 Arizona time, 3 to
I know
4.
I have a great fibber.
I went all crazy with this time change. I'm still adjusting. So, anyways, yeah, spread the word for us, please, and let everybody know that Dawn will be here. PK, I want to thank you for hopping in again when we had another guest from the UK that was all set, ready to come in and talk about his new book on the anomalies of UFOs, but he was unable to make it at the last minute. So I'm very grateful, PK, that you were able to come and enlighten us once again with numerology. Always appreciate it so much.
I I've always enjoyed it because it taught me how to live better.
Yeah.
That was really the bottom line.
Yes. And we all deserve better lives. And I
Oh,
think we're all
yes,
going to have more of an opportunity for that. So it's time. It's time. Yay. Hip hip hooray. Yes.
for sure. Ready or not, here it comes.
Yes, that's right. So Dawn the astrologer will be here next week. Make a note on your calendar. Please give us a follow on our YouTube channel.
Mhm.
And you can watch us there as well as on Rumble. But on Rumble, our links don't stay up as long. On the YouTube channel, it's our YouTube channel. Those links are up all the time.
Right.
So you can find all of our old shows there if you want to listen to them again or for the first time at your own convenience. So you can find us there. And if there's anybody that you would like to have us interview, send us a note. We'd like to hear what you want in the coming year and continue to provide great conversations. So until next week, everybody, we'll be back with another great show and we'll see you on the Blue Highway. Good night.
Good night.